So, what if the next great scientific breakthrough wasn't made by a person, but in partnership with an AI? I mean, we're all used to AI writing our emails or making fun images, but what if it could help us solve some of the most fundamental questions in math, in physics, in biology? We're not just talking about a tool here, we're talking about a genuine partner in the process of discovery. So, is this all just science fiction? Or is AI really ready to step up and become a true lab partner? Well, that's the big question we are going to unpack today.
And to answer it, we're diving deep into this fascinating new research paper. It's not speculation, it documents real-world experiments where scientists used a cutting-edge AI model to push their work forward across a bunch of different fields. This is basically a report from the absolute front lines of science.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at AI as this new scientific partner. Then we'll get into its power for a kind of superhuman literature search and its role as a creative collaborator. And then, this is the really cool part, we'll see it push the very frontier of knowledge before we look ahead to the future of discovery. Think of it like we're watching the AI climb a ladder of scientific capability, right from finding what's already known to helping create what's brand new. You know, for years, we've thought of AI as a tool, kind of like a really smart calculator. But what this paper shows is a fundamental shift. AI is becoming an active participant, a real intellectual teammate in the research process itself. So, the first rung on this ladder is something you could call a superhuman literature search. I mean, just imagine being able to read and connect ideas across millions of scientific papers, spanning decades, written in different languages, all in an instant. That's what we're talking about here. And the perfect test for this capability? A huge database of problems from the legendary mathematician, Paul Erdos. Now here's the trick. A lot of these so-called unsolved problems might have actually been solved years ago, but the solutions are just lost, buried in some obscure journal, maybe using totally different language. So here's how the process actually worked. A mathematician gives one of these unsolved problems to the AI. Now, the model doesn't just scan for keywords, it does a deep conceptual search. It actually understands the math. And then it uncovers a solution, even if it's hidden away using completely different terms. And just like that, an open problem gets marked solved. It's like having the most brilliant, tireless research assistant you could ever imagine. And check this out. This is the perfect example of just how powerful this is. For one problem, #1043, the solution was right here, hidden in a brief side comment sandwiched between two theorems, in a paper from 1961, written in German. It had been completely missed by human mathematicians for over 60 years. And this wasn't just some lucky fluke. Using this method, the researchers found previously published solutions for 10 different problems that were still listed as open. They were literally cleaning up the collective knowledge of an entire field of mathematics. But, and this is a really important but, it came with a major warning. In one case, the AI produced this brilliant, totally correct proof, but it completely failed to cite where it got the idea from. The researchers almost mistakenly claimed a new discovery. It's a huge reminder that human verification and making sure you give credit where it's due are absolutely critical. Okay, so AI is a fantastic librarian, but what's the next step up the ladder? Well, it's moving from just finding facts to actually forming hypotheses. Can it be a real brainstorming partner? To test this, researchers turned to a real-world medical puzzle. They had all this experimental data showing that a certain drug, a sugar inhibitor, was boosting a type of immune cell in a really surprising way. But they had no idea why. The mechanism was a complete mystery to the human experts. So what they do? They took the raw, complex data straight from their experiment, showed it to the AI, and basically just asked it, explain these results. Tell us what you think is happening here. And the AI's hypothesis was pretty stunning. It said, hey, this isn't just about blocking the cell's energy source. It proposed this way more subtle mechanism. A process called N-linked glycosylation was getting disrupted. You can think of it like a key communication pathway inside the cell was suddenly getting all scrambled. This was a totally non-obvious connection that the experts had missed. In fact, the lead researcher called it a co-investigator level contribution. And we're seeing this collaborative power in other fields too. In fusion energy research, the AI helped scientists build a really complex physics model from the ground up. And then it identified this yellow ridge you see here, the precise sweet spot of conditions needed to kick off a self-sustaining fusion reaction. The acclaimed mathematician Timothy Gowers really sums it up perfectly.
He says you can now bounce ideas off these models in the exact same way you would with a human collaborator, getting that instant feedback that can just massively speed up the entire thinking process.
So we've finally reached the top of our ladder. We've seen AI find existing science. We've seen it interpret science. But here's the million-dollar question. Can it help create truly new knowledge? Can it give us an original idea that helps solve a problem that has never been solved before?
This is where things get genuinely profound. The paper presents something that is completely unprecedented. 4 new mathematical results, all fully verified by human experts, that were discovered with help from the AI. This isn't about finding old knowledge anymore. This is about generating it. And here's the proof. For another unsolved Erdős problem, number 848, the AI didn't just find some old paper. It generated a completely novel idea, a totally new angle of attack that no one had thought of before. This wasn't a search. This was a spark of creativity. And that AI-generated insight, when combined with human expertise, led to the very first solution to this long-standing problem.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? We've seen AI climb this incredible ladder of capability. Let's just quickly recap what this new role in science really looks like.
So what have we actually seen? We've seen it act as a superhuman search engine, finding a solution that was hidden for 60 years. It's a creative collaborator, proposing biological mechanisms that totally stumped the experts. And, most profoundly, it's a source of novel scientific insights, providing the missing piece to solve a decades-old math problem. It's becoming a partner at every single step of the scientific process.
But let's be crystal clear about one thing. This is not about replacing human scientists. This is about creating an unbelievably powerful partnership. Human expertise is more critical than ever for asking the right questions, for verifying what the AI comes up with, and for providing that deep insight that ultimately drives discovery forward. And that leaves us with a pretty thrilling final thought. With this new partnership between human intuition and artificial intelligence, what great scientific mysteries that have stumped us for decades. I'm talking about things like the nature of consciousness, the cure for cancer. What mysteries are now finally within our reach?